Welcome to 97.7 FM and to Cityscape, a show that highlights the best that the RGV has to offer. And today, it's no different. We have Dr. Jasmine Gawardi from Texas Oncology. So, welcome, Doctor.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for making the time to come out and share with our audience over our 97.7 FM airwaves, over our social media accounts, our Facebook, and our YouTube channel as well. And we also want to welcome everyone that is listening to us over Radio Garden, as well as through all our other radio streams accounts, such as Restream and so forth. So welcome to everyone who's watching us. Today we have a great topic. Topic of the day is men and women's cancer types. Now, before the show got started, we were talking, Doctor, how cancer is just such a broad subject, and so we want to narrow it down as an introductory to our audience, and we want to talk about how it affects us here in the Rio Grande Valley. So, first of all, Doctor, tell me about cancer or the different types of cancer.
Yes. So cancer is very very broad, and we have all different types of cancers. We have blood disorders, blood cancers, and then we have our solid tumors. But today I thought it would be a good idea to kind of introduce specifically breast cancer, colon cancer, and prostate cancer, and kind of start with those because they really impact a large portion of our community, and so the big thing that I always stress when I'm talking to others in the community is really trying to get awareness about screening, and what does that entail, because screening really does save lives. And so if you don't know, you won't get it done. I've shared before in various talks that one of the most heartbreaking things that I've heard from patients that they've told me that, hey doc, I was too embarrassed to get this done. I got this cancer because I was too embarrassed to have the colonoscopy, and gosh, that just breaks my heart. So I really enjoy doing these talks and try to normalize, try to kind of squash that stigma that comes with cancer. And that we are all plagued with. We all know someone that's been through cancer, and it's impactful for all of us, for our community.
Now, I know you're originally from McAllen.
I am, yeah. So I've made it back almost a year now. Not quite a year yet. But I'm originally from here. Actually, I was born in Westlaco, and like a birthing center. So,
oh wow,
yeah.
And so you went away for college, medical school, and did your residency, did all your specialty work.
Yes.
And then decided to come back.
Came back.
So
yes.
we want to thank you because we need more doctors like yourself here.
Thank you so much for saying that. Yes, and I really do hope that the Valley's becoming a lot more academic. And so my hope is that a lot of the training that happens here, that physicians would stay and help treat our community. I just love it. I'm so happy with my decision. As I was never one of those people that when I left the Valley that I was like, hey, you know what, I'm never coming back. I just kind of went, I did my thing for 15 years. And then when I was done, I was like, why don't I go back to the Valley? And since I've been here, I've loved it. I just love it's hard to describe hard to put into words, treating your community. You just feel that connection. It feels just very special.
So, well, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I know that we were talking a little bit before the show how cancer has reached almost epidemic levels. We were they were sharing some data with me earlier that more than 2 million new cases of cancer are expected to be diagnosed in this year alone. Just this year, 2024, over 2 million. And so we're already almost halfway through the year, and so they've probably already diagnosed over 1 million. That's just in 1 year. And then another number here is over 147,000 of those are expected to be diagnosed in Texas. 44,000 Texans are estimated to die from cancer this year alone. That is those are crazy. And Texas ranks third in the nation for the most new cancer cases, and third in expected cancer deaths. Those are big numbers for us in Texas. And I don't have the numbers for the valley, but I'm sure that we're ranked up there. If you subdivide, the Texas.
Yeah, definitely. I think, along that point, when we talk about, for example, cervical cancer screening, we know that a lot of Latinas, that they are, we know that there's a big group that specifically with Latinas that are not getting the screening done. And so there's a lot of different organizations that have come together to try to bring the awareness to say, hey, cervical cancer is a cancer that we can find early, we can treat, we can cure. But in order to do that, you have to have the screening done. And so the screening it starts at age 21, and it's a pap smear. And it's typically every 3 years if you have a normal pap smear. So it's, meeting with your gynecologist. When you turn around age 30, you can talk about doing an HPV test, which is a co-test that's done along with the pap smear. And if everything's good there, then you can do your testing every 5 years. And so, but in order to, to find that and to have the screening is to meet with the gynecologist, and or it doesn't necessarily have to be gynecologist. It can be your family doctor. So a lot of them will do the pap smears, and so but starting at age 21.
So early detection is a key here.
Absolutely, yes.
Because these numbers are crazy.
Yeah.
They're scary. So early detection is a key. So aside from the pap smear, what are some of the other tests that overall men and women can take, can ask for when they go to their family doctor or their primary?
Yeah, that's a great question. So definitely. So for women, of course, we're talking about breast cancer. So breast cancer it used to be, interestingly, it used to be that we had two different, guidelines. So we had the American Cancer Society that recommended starting screening at a younger age, and then we had the USPSTF that was saying, hey, you can start at age 50, and then go, every 2 years. And here recently, the organizations kind of got on the same page and said we really should be starting mammograms starting at age 40. And so starting at age 40, and then you can get your screening, once a year. And so that's for breast cancer. And then sometimes, sometimes some women, with dense breasts, will need like an MRI of the breast, but screening involves a mammogram. So that should start at age 40. Then we go into colon cancer. So colon cancer, that is another guideline that changed. It used to be that you got your colonoscopy at age 50. And there actually, when I've been out in the community, I've been, having to sometimes, educate people. Were like, oh, I thought it was 50. No, that changed. So in 2021, the guidelines changed to now recommending starting your colonoscopy at age 45. And the reason for that was because we started to see a younger population of patients with colon cancer. And so we think that a lot of that has to do with the diet, actually. And so the diet that is high in processed foods, high in animal protein. And so we are starting to see colon cancer in even 30-year-olds, and so a younger population. And so now the recommendation is starting at age 45, get your screening. There is a caveat to that. So if you had a first generation family member with colon cancer, so let's say, your father with colon cancer, and they were diagnosed at age 40, then the recommendation is you should get your colonoscopy 10 years prior to that age. So 30, you should be getting your colonoscopy. So it's very important to know your family history. Very important when you're meeting with your primary care in order to know, okay, hey, I'm a bit higher risk, and so that I can get the colonoscopy. So that goes into colon cancer screening, and then prostate cancer is typically at age 50. Prostate cancer is a cancer that affects men, and it's it is considered a slower growing cancer, but but it is a cancer that that can still, it still takes lives. And so, so that one is usually 50. Of course, again, knowing your family history, because sometimes you want to get screened at a younger age. So, for example, in certain populations like African Americans, recommendations for them to get screened at age 45. And then, of course, if you know your family history, that all goes into making that decision.
10 years.
For
Younger
prostate
for
cancer is a
prostate.
little bit different.
Okay.
It's not the 10-year mark, but it's prostate cancer is an interesting one for screening because we have kind of rigid kind of guideline recommendations for a lot of our cancers like colon cancer and breast cancer. But when we talk about prostate cancer, it really is having a shared decision making with your primary care, and so it's taking into account your family history. And then you yourself, because the screening is a simple blood test. So it's a blood test. It's called a PSA. And so the thing is, though, a lot of things can cause the PSA to be high, to be elevated. So not just prostate cancer. So sometimes, you may end up getting a high PSA and it has nothing to do with cancer. It could be that you have a urinary tract infection or you have a large prostate, and it ends up taking the patient down the road of potential biopsies, the anxiety related to that. And so when we talk about prostate cancer screening, it is kind of a discussion with your doc saying, okay, hey, this is my family history, should I go ahead and move forward? And it's ultimately, your decision. But I would say a majority of men do choose to get checked. It's because it's a blood test. Now, what you do with those results, that's where it gets a little more, more complicated. But I've had patients come to me and say, I had to bring up like the PSA, like, hey, can I get this checked? And so I do think we need to be having more discussions, with our patients and just say, hey, there is a screening available, and what does it mean? Like if the number does come back high.
And I guess it's always good to be a little more proactive as a patient. Ask your primary. Is there any tests that I should be taking at my age? Is there any concerns? Given my family history and so forth.
Yes, I love that you said that. I'm like a big proponent of advocating for yourself and for advocating for your loved ones. And in order to do that, you have to know, right? So you have to. So I love these opportunities where where you can have the opportunity to tell people, hey, start screening at this age. And so knowledge is power, right? It's so true. And so if you know that, then you can ensure that you are getting the screening done, and then it's just good that way. When, for example, for mammograms, when the next year rolls around, you're advocating for yourself. Okay, make sure it's February. I had my mammogram last February. It's time to get checked up again, and not let that fall by the wayside. So
that's right. Take that. Be proactive about your health, because doctors, they've got hundreds, maybe even thousands of patients that they see throughout the year. They might not be able to keep track of your record. The system might have it there, but it's always good for you to keep track of key. It's like you said, it's been almost a year since my last exam. I need to take one again, and so be proactive. I love the way you always mentioned how you also mentioned about diet and processed foods and so forth. And of course I'm preaching to myself here, but yes, we have to take that active approach and fix our diet. Fix our gut. Eat. We know we're not supposed to eat all that delicious food that we're popular for here in the RGV, right? Maybe every once in a while.
Yes, every once in a while. Yeah. But it's so true, though. A lot of the literature when we talk about cancer, there's a lot more literature that's coming out and research coming out into what you put into your body, and so even just the other day there was an article that I came across that was talking about whole food plant-based diet for patients with prostate cancer. You always hear of that diet in colon cancer, maybe even in breast cancer, but I was like, oh wow, prostate cancer, okay, let me read this. And so the article really was talking about they did this kind of large survey, and patients that were, eating whole food plant-based diet, and they actually showed that that men going through prostate cancer treatment had better like quality of life scores, and they ended up like doing better. And so I think it's very important, especially when we're talking about all, definitely for colon cancer. We know that a lot of our research shows that it is a lot of it related to environment, what you put into your body. And so what I'm talking about is a lot of that processed food, animal protein. So, consuming large quantities of animal protein is not the best. So I always encourage even my patients, even making small changes to like where you're, we get so used to, okay, I'm going to have an animal protein like 3 times a day. Breakfast it's eggs, and then lunch it's a turkey sandwich, and then dinner it's, chicken and something else. And it, overall seems healthy, but we do it all the time. And so instead trying to maybe substitute one meal, where you take the animal protein out, and try to incorporate more plants into your diet. It really is very beneficial. So more of those veggies, and fruit, and then trying to get some of your protein from like peas and lentils and legumes and that type of thing. So not saying that you have to become vegan, but I think more of a whole food plant-based approach is very beneficial when we're talking about cancer.
Wow, yeah, very, very interesting. And now you are with Texas Oncology, correct? Now tell me about Texas Oncology, because I was just realizing that it's a really big organization.
Yes, so it's yes, I've only been with Texas Oncology so I'll be a year in August. I can't believe it's gone by so fast. But yes, it's just a wonderful group. I'm very happy that I joined. I feel like we do cancer care very well. I was talking to you about this earlier, but one of the things that breaks my heart to hear is when patients are having to travel outside of the Valley in order to get their care. A diagnosis of cancer is very likely one of the hardest things that someone is going to go through. And so when you think of all the ramifications of a cancer diagnosis, the repeated tests, the treatment for it, the chemotherapies, immunotherapies, the toxicities from that, being away from loved ones if you're having to travel out to do that, it blows my mind. I just can't even imagine how some of these people do that. And so we should be able to offer things like that here in the Valley. I mean, that we just should. And so I feel like that's one thing that I'm very grateful about, at Texas Oncology. I'm in the McAllen group, and we have everything there to be able to have patients come in, get their treatment, and then go home and be able to be with your loved ones. Or oftentimes when we talk about cancer, we don't talk about the financial toxicity that comes with the diagnosis. And some people have to continue to work with their cancer treatment. And so, being able to go somewhere where we have an in-house lab, you don't have to travel somewhere else. So it's a lab. You see the doctor there. And we have wonderful APPs as well. Nurse practitioners and physician's assistants. We have research trials. Actually, we've got a research team and lots of clinical trials available. And we offer radiation oncology services, and even genetic counseling. So we do a lot of genetic counseling. So we were talking earlier about family history. So we offer genetic counseling, and it's all trying to go through your insurance, of course. And but even for people that just want to know, we offer that as well. I think the important part too is with genetic counseling is, sometimes you can order these tests like an online thing, but you don't get any education on what it means. And so the good thing is when you have a test done, you have an actual genetic counselor that discusses it with you and what does it mean. And so that's what I love about Texas Oncology, but it is a very large group. So we're all throughout Texas. So we have over 530 physicians, and over 280 sites. In the Valley, we are actually five locations. So a lot of people don't know that. So we have McAllen, we've got Weslaco, we've got Harlingen, and we've got Brownsville. And so and we have, like I said, we've got physicians at all those places. I'm actually the only female oncologist that that joined in the Valley. And so,
Wow.
yeah.
Fantastic.
Yes, but everyone has been just so welcoming, and it's just a great group to work with. I just love it. I really do. So
Well, we're glad to have you. Glad to have you back home, serving this community that where it's very much needed.
yes, absolutely.
So I don't want to move on until I ask you: is there anything that you want to mention? Anything that I've forgotten to ask you, or that I am forgetting to talk about? Since this is such a important topic, and it's an introductory, and we hope to that you'll accept our invitation to come back, because I think this is a topic that we could talk about year round.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and I would love to do that. I think because I just very briefly talked on breast and colon cancer, prostate, and the screenings, but definitely in future visits, I'd love to dive into a little bit more of like what are the signs of cancer in those areas. What would be the things to look out for. But I think today was like a good introduction just for screening. Go ahead.
And then what is a message you want to send to our audience? Right
Yeah,
now?
I think the biggest thing that I would like to share with everyone is that we have just talking with the community. There's sometimes I get the sense of a lot of fear. There's a lot of fear with going through these screenings, and so I think my biggest message is to kind of break away from that, being in your head and the fear revolving around the screening, and just do it for yourself, for your loved ones. The moment of discomfort is just a short period for getting some of these screenings done, and it really does save lives in the end. So when we're talking about screening, you're wanting to try to catch things before cancer has taken off. That's the whole point of this. And so most of the times we are catching things when, for example, we're talking about breast cancer. We're catching things when maybe a woman hasn't felt a lump. And that's the point, is to try to catch it when it's something very small that we can treat it. And then you can put that past, and it's something in your past, and move on. And so I think that's my biggest message, is to kind of break away from the fear of it all, and just empower yourself to get the screening done.
And the fear is very real. I was referred to Texas Oncology for my primary to a hematologist. He just saw some things in the test that he just wanted to double check, make sure everything was okay. So he referred me. And when I heard, okay, we're referring you to Texas Oncology, I was like, holy cow. I was scared.
Yes,
I was scared.
That happens so much, actually. I think sometimes patients, I don't know if they don't tell them, or so I walk in and they're just like, oh my gosh. I'm like, hold on, it's okay. It's just iron deficiency. We're gonna
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I went in there, and I was from the moment that my primary physician told me that till the day I walked in and started talking to someone, I was so afraid. And so it's real, and so don't be, folks, because it's for our benefit. And I know that it's I don't know, it's just part of being it's part of being our culture, our Hispanic culture, or it's part of just being a guy. We don't want to go through those tests. We don't want to go through all those, but it's for your own benefits, for your kids. Do it for your family, for your kids. Go out there and get screened. Early detection is the key.
Yes, absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that with us. Anything else that you'd like to share with us?
Thank you so much for having me. I love I love doing these things. I love education. That's just a big part of what even throughout my training, I just loved participating in educational moments. And so yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure, and I'm always happy to come back and talk and educate.
Thank you. Well, as a quick little recap before we leave, we discuss how statistics here in Texas are not looking too good as far as cancer goes. We discuss how it's important for you to take a look at your diet. We also discuss how early detection is the key to this. And Texas Oncology has a center near you where you can go, and obviously they can have all these screenings done there. Do they need to be referred by their primary?
Yeah, usually the screenings happen with your primary care, and then of course if something abnormal is found, then you're referred to Texas Oncology. Of course, if you're already seeing an oncologist or hematologist, and something is found, we often take over the mammograms after somebody has had breast cancer, so we'll take care of that part. But in terms of like screening, it's usually with your primary care.
Okay. Well, 5 locations to serve you. You said Brownsville, Harlingen, Westlaco, McAllen.
McAllen, yes.
Okay. Fantastic. Well, the doors are always open here at 97.7 FM. We're all about educating our audience. So come back as many times as you are able to come back.
Oh, I will. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you making the time to come out, making the time out of your busy schedule to come out here and share with our audience.
Sure, no problem. I love to do it.
And any shout outs that you want to send out?
Shout outs, yes. To my family, the Goardis, the Shells. I could just keep going to those members. And then obviously my husband, my 2 boys, Sebastian and Mars. They right now they're actually I've been working late hours, so I haven't been able to spend a lot of time with them this week. So I'm really looking forward to the weekend and I'm just gonna love up on them. It's gonna be great.
And they're off for the summer already?
They're off for the summer. Yes,
okay.
Yes. So.
I want to also send a shout out to Yolanda, who's here in the audience, right behind the cameras. Thank you for coming out here. And we're going to bring her back on sometime later so that she can share a little more about Texas Oncology and all the different services, because it's more than just cancer treatments, right? Do you also have hematologist or?
Yes, we have hematology as well. So it's blood disorder. So I'm a hematologist oncologist. So I'm triple certified, but we treat blood disorders, we treat blood cancers, and then we treat also solid tumors. So cancer care. So you can have. That's why I was saying, like, sometimes you have patients that come in and they are there for iron deficiency, like someone that a woman that has heavy periods and seeing just iron deficient needs to get the levels up. And so it's not all cancer related, but that's a majority of what we do.
Can someone request you, say, for example, they go to their primary and say, I want to, and then your primary feels a need to refer you out to an oncologist. Can someone request you?
Yes, of course. I'm very happy to see patients and see my community. So yes, so they really just have to say that they want to see Dr. Gowardi, and they'll work on when your doc puts in the referral. They'll make sure to get scheduled with me, and I have a lot of physicians that will reach out, and so then I say, okay, let me try to see them the next week, and so we try to depending how severe the case is, try to get them in faster. So, and we're trying to work. That's one thing we're trying to work at Texas Oncology, is trying to get patients in faster, so that they don't have that anxiety that's looming for several weeks. So we're trying to move things along. In the Valley, it's a little bit unique case because it's a lot of it is like we don't share electronic medical records, so we have to wait until certain records are faxed over. So that could be maybe another dog, but that we're streamlining things, and so a lot of that's one thing that I have enjoyed is when we do end up seeing a patient, a lot of it is streamlined already. We have all the records, so that way when we see them, we're ready to get to the treatment, which is what the patients want. So
we're still behind, huh? The Valley
we still but I mean, I think that's kind of all throughout. But I came from Baylor Scott and White, was a little spoiled over there because it was all shared electronic medical records, so it was very easy to see things. And so here it takes a little more effort, but we have like that's one thing that Texas Oncology does well, is being able to kind of get those records. One thing we want to work at is try to get in our patients seen sooner, so that they're not waiting and anxious and that type of thing.
That's right. And so now you are, just a recap, you are the only female oncologist at Texas Oncology here in the Rio Grande Valley?
In the Rio Grande Valley, yes.
You're the only female
that's me.
in the
Girl
overall. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
With Texas Oncology, yes, the only.
And her credentials are fill up the entire page here. so please, if you are watching and you have been um, referred out to an oncologist, you feel more comfortable speaking to Dr. Gawardi, please, ask your primary and to refer you over to Dr. Gawardi. I know that her being the only female oncologist down here, she probably has a long list of patients, but she's available, and she's very highly qualified
No, thank
to
you.
do this. So
Thank
you so much again for making the time to come out.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to more talks.
Fantastic. I like that. This is a topic that I think we could talk about all year long.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. Share this video with some of your loved ones who could benefit from these talks. And always, ask questions. We will forward them over. Staff from Technology might be looking at the video. So if there's a specific question that you might want to ask them, feel free to ask them, and they'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching, and keep listening and watching to 97.7 FM, The City.